Hi there, I'm Mike, and this is always the video I look forward to the least out of the entire year. The least most? What am I even trying to say here? So it's the end of the old year / beginning of a new year, depending on when I get this video out. It's going to be the beginning of a new year. I know me. And if you've been watching my channel, you'll know that in 2024, I decided to review every figure that I got in the Black Series for the entire year. And I successfully did it. I did it on purpose, and I did it to completion. So if you could, go watch those, please. And also listen to my podcast, Black Series Cantina. Mike Case content plug over. But I have to say, doing that on top of making a spreadsheet of every figure that came out in 2024 made making this video probably the easiest it's ever been, just in terms of remembering what came out. And I honestly don't know what's worse, the fact that I'm a 42-year-old man collecting toys, or I'm a 42-year-old man making spreadsheets about collecting toys. It's the spreadsheets. It's like it's not even close. So just like last year, if you watched it, the first part of this video is going to be a recap of the year. Random factoids and whatnot. There will be a timestamp down here, or you can look at the bar, and I'll have chapters set up if you just want to skip ahead. But like, come on, just watch it. I worked hard on this. So according to my count, we got 86 figures released in 2024. Now, before those of you who kept your own count attack your keyboards with well actuallys, here's how my count would differ from yours. First, I got the Book of Boba Fett wave at the very end of 2023 instead of the beginning of 2024, like a lot of people did. So I counted them then instead of now. I also got the very first wave of 2025 back in November. I already did a video on it. So they're going on this list right here, not on next year's list. You see, the beginning and endings of years is always hazy about what comes out when, and I always put it in the year I got. If it's on the edge like that. Mike Case, always edging. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So let's take a look at my spreadsheet and see how we got to the number 86 and who is in the running for this year's top 10. And let's start with the top of my list, which is always organized alphabetically, because that's just how my brain works. And it's organized alphabetically by entertainment expression. God damn it, Hasbro. Also, just because I kept track of all these does not mean that I bought them all. Of these 86 figures, I actually only bought 54 of them. Although some of them I did buy more than one of, I'm not counting them more than once. So only really those 54 figures can make my top 10. So roughly about 20% of them will be on my list, I guess. Is that right? Is that how math works? Anyway, starting off with what we got this year, the first 5 releases are from A New Hope, and these are actually the only figures that we got from the original trilogy at all this year. Next, we got 8 figures from the new show, The Acolyte, one of 2 new shows that we got figures for this year. Some people liked it, some people didn't, but I loved the figures. The next 6 figures we got this year were from last year's show, Ahsoka. Most of these were just troopers of some sort. 2 of them were just like straight re-releases of figures from last year, but now with robes.
But she's got a new hat.
Andor actually showed up early with season 2 figures with 3 figures, but one of them is just the same K2SO that we've seen re-released for like the 3rd or 4th time with absolutely no differences. Hasbro, give the poor guy a blaster already. The prequels also had a great showing this year, lots of prequel love. Attack of the Clones added 4 figures to its line this year. We also got 8 archive figure releases. Well, we did if you don't live in America. These were intended for overseas markets, which for some reason counts Canada, even though they're not overseas. They're in the same continent as we are, but they're not American, or they're not United States of America. Anyways, they got them too. It's weird, and there's a hazy distinction between it because if you order it online, you can get it anywhere. But they weren't intended for the US market, is what I'm trying to say. Surprisingly, we got exactly one release for the Clone Wars this year, and I'll talk about that one in a bit. And we got two releases from the brand new Clones of the Republic subline, which I really like as a subline. It's probably my favorite subline. Gaming Greats didn't really have a lot this year. There were 3 releases, mostly multi-packs from Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor. Weirdly, nothing from Outlaws, which sucks in my opinion because I really liked the game. We got one new holiday release this year, which was a Halloween 2-pack, although there was another re-release that I'll get to a bit. The Halloween 2-pack was the only new thing that we got this year. We also got 5 Holocom releases this year, and I love it because that's 5 figures I don't feel the need to buy because this is probably my least favorite subline, although I guess I did buy one of them. And by far, the single biggest subline that we saw releases for, with 10, were from The Mandalorian. They're mostly from season 3, and they're mostly just random Mandos, but still, they're good figures. I mean, I liked the majority of them. We also got an interesting new subline with the Masters of Evil. There was one 3-pack released this year, and that seems to be just a nice way for Hasbro to give us bad guys on some sleek looking card backs. That's not for me, not at full price anyway, but it's cool for people that like to collect in boxes because those card backs do look nice. And coming in with some more prequels love, we got 7 figures released from the Phantom Menace, finally adding on to that Jar Jar release, who's been all by himself since like 2019. We also got our usual wave of publication figures for the year, but this time, instead of being 4 individual releases, they were just the one. It was the 1 4-pack. Weird choice, but we got some. Next, we have something interesting that Hasbro did that I have thoughts on, and that's something called reruns. This year, they did some straight up re-releases of figures that were released a long time ago. And Hasbro's no stranger to re-releasing older figures, but these aren't archive releases. These aren't anniversary package releases. They're not A-list releases. They're just reruns of those figures in their original packagings with no updates whatsoever. There's no differences between these releases and the original ones. And I don't get it. We had 14 of those this year, with 4 more on the way next year. And congrats to all the collectors who finally snagged their Captain Rex, Hunter, or Crosshair without paying an arm and a leg for them. And continuing on with the prequels love, we got our very first figure from Revenge of the Sith this year. It's just the one, but there are more on the way. And to round out the end, we got 6 figures from the currently airing, as of the recording of this video, Skeleton Crew, a show which I absolutely adore. So unless I messed up on my basic math pretty badly, which wouldn't be the first time if I did, that would bring us to 86 figures. Some more random facts about the year, figure-wise. Of the 86 figures on my list, it's very clear that the prequels is finally getting some love in the line. There was some when it first started, and then it seems like it fizzled out, especially for the Phantom Menace, but it seems to be coming back. The majority of the stuff was clone troopers and battle droids of some sort, but since it's the line's 11-year existence, it's beyond time that we finally got some of these in the line. We also saw an interesting new idea that I've had people clamor for a while, and that's the army building packs. These 2 packs come in plastic-free packaging and are intended to let you army build while being slightly cheaper than buying the figures individually or what they originally went for. It's a neat idea, but honestly, I don't know where else they can really go unless they start releasing more characters that can be army built. We're kind of running out of them at this point. Speaking of which, we got so many multi-packs this year. 16 of them. Do you like multi-packs? Because I do, but even I thought that was excessive. It seemed like everything was a multi-pack almost. But more than anything else, I just wanted to say to Hasbro, if you're watching, thank you so much for bringing reasonably priced and sized vehicles back in the line. We got 2 this year, and both of them are amazing. So thank you. if you're watching. Anyways, that's the basic recap for the year. Let me know if I missed something, but I'm really sure that I didn't, which would make it even more embarrassing if I did. But all of that was just to set up how I got to my list. All of these are eligible for the list, although only 10 of them will be on it, unless I cheat. And as of the writing of this part, I don't know if I've cheated or not, but I probably will, because I know me. So, 2024, what a year for Black Series. We got some surprises, we got some long-awaited figures that were way overdue, and we got some duds. Now, of course, this is my list. You may or may not agree with what I've chosen, and that's absolutely fine. None of this was easy. Even having it all laid out, it still wasn't easy. The choices were hard. And there are figures that I wanted to put on this list, but I just couldn't justify it. If you want to put your list down there, I'm not going to argue. Let me know. We'll have comments. We'll have fun discussions about the toys that we liked, but let's be civil about it, right? I'm also in the spirit of just positivity. I'm not going to go over the figures I thought were duds. I usually do that. If I had to, it'd just be Holocom because the subline itself doesn't really interest me, and I'll leave it at that. So starting with number 10, we have IG-12 and Grogu and the Anzellans. I'm not going to leave them out. There were about 6 figures that I liked all about the same, and any of them could have been in this number 10 spot. But I chose IG-12 not because it's great to finally get an amazing IG droid in the line, and that's true, it is, but also because what it could mean for the future with turning it into finally a good IG-11 or IG-88. I mean, it's not just that. Even if they never do that, this figure is still great, and it's a lot of fun to mess around with, but it also had that added bonus, which put it over the edge over the other ones that could have been in the spot too. Moving on to number 9, we have Ki-Adi-Mundi, the worst Jedi himself. Ki-Adi-Mundi was announced 3 years ago and finally came out at the beginning of 2024. And honestly, he blew me away, which is saying a lot because I do not like him as a character. I never have. I cringed really hard when they put him in the Acolyte, and it's not because of any made-up, non-canon birthday that you think he has or doesn't have. It's just because I don't like him. His figure is great. He's got ball joint wrists, great articulation, lots of great details. He's fun to mess around with as long as it's consensual, Mundi. Keep it consensual. With number 8, we have Momau Nadon. Momau Nadon. Momau Nadon. Did I say that right? Because I think in my review, I said it wrong every time. Anyways, this figure is here almost entirely because of nostalgia. He's my favorite alien. Hammerhead was my very first Star Wars toy ever, and he's been on my wish list for as long as I've had wish lists. Is he mostly a reuse of Doc Onder? Mostly, sure. But is he still great? Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's way past time we got him, and I'm happy I have him. In the number 7 spot, we have the long-awaited Princess Leia Organa. Leia here is mostly new. I still never quite figured out whose legs she has, but she looks phenomenal either way. The new hood accessory is a game changer, and the face is spot on. A long overdue update for an older figure that never sat right with me. And number 6, we have Farm Boy Luke. I thought this was going to be a lot higher on the list, but this is where I landed. I was shocked. I love Luke, and Farm Boy Luke is as classic as it really gets. He looks amazing. So good, in fact, that I bought a second one just to replace the one that came with my land speeder so I can have one for the shelf and one for the land speeder. The thing that's really keeping him from being higher on the list is just that head. The face sculpt isn't quite right, and I don't like the hair, and the color of the hair is too dark. I mean, it sounds like a lot when you put it there, but the rest of the figure is so good, and I can overlook the slight offness of the head, and you can fix it if you want to buy a different Luke and swap the head, so it's fixable, but it's a great figure. The rest of the figure is so good I can easily overlook it. And another potential upset is my number 5, which is the Destroyer Droid or Droideka, whatever you want to say. That's how I say it too. I know this is a lot higher on other people's lists, and it may be blasphemous, that'll work, to not have in my top 3. But if I had to be honest with myself, while I do like it, I do think that they could have done better. But also, there were a lot of great contenders for the top spots this year. And this one just didn't bring me that much joy, or as much joy as the next 4 figures did. But number 5 still pretty good. I mean, it's a good spot for a good droid. So, what beat it? Well, my number 4 spot goes to Pirate Captain Brutus from Skeleton Crew. Listen, if you're sleeping on Skeleton Crew, don't. The show is so much fun. The show is Star Wars. I'm a sucker for 2 things, aliens and pirates. And here we have an alien pirate. I will always gravitate to aliens over troopers any day, clone or otherwise. The sculpt of this, the shelf presence, everything about Brutus is exceptional. I can't stop looking at him. I love it. He's great. But speaking of troopers, in the number 3 spot, we have the Clones of the Republic 2-pack with Yoda and Gree. Now, honestly, Yoda here is the real hero of the set. He's the reason that it's on the list at all, let alone so high. But we got so many clones this year, I felt really bad not putting at least one of them on the list because it is the newer mold, and the new mold is great. This was, though, not the best of them. It was, in fact, one of 2 that didn't have a removable helmet, and it was the only one of the new mold that doesn't have a removable helmet, and it's not the Gree that anyone really wants. But it's still a good mold, and the mold deserves to be on the list somewhere. Again, the reason I put it here is because of Yoda. Yoda is everything to me. I didn't actually realize how much I wanted a prequel's Yoda until I got this in hand. Everything about this figure is perfect. I love both of his heads. That scrunched up angry face is just what I needed when having him fight Darth Sidious on the shelf. What a figure. And if you thought I was cheating before by putting a 2-pack in my number 3 spot to get an extra figure on the list, well, get ready, because number 2 is Darth Maul. We got 3 Darth Mauls released this year, and each one is a banger because they're mostly the same figure, whether you bought them as a 3-pack or a standalone version or with the blood fin, all of them are amazing. This replaces the Darth Maul that came out in 2013 as part of the very first wave in the line, and it's long overdue for an update, and Hasbro absolutely knocked it out of the park with this. And if you forced me to choose just one, it's going to be the one that came with the blood fin. Even though he has soft goods like skirt area, I just love everything else about it more than the molded rubber that the other versions had. I think that this blood fin set is absolutely amazing. And it's great to have a vehicle on the list after so long of not getting any. I did want to put the Stap on the list, but I just didn't like the Battle Droid, and this is where it landed because the Darth Maul is that good. Now, before I move to the last spot, I do want to mention some figures that didn't quite make the list, and I wanted to mention them in an honorable way. You know, honorable mentions. And these are in absolutely no particular order, but they would basically constitute spots 11 through 15. You can put them wherever you want to in here because these were the figures that didn't make the number 10 spot. And that's Grand Admiral Thrawn, Jedi Master Soul, Cassian Andor, Dagan Gera, and Jorus Sabayoth, which I learned is how you pronounce his name. The fact that it's the year of our Lord 2024 and we got a Black Series Jorus Sabayoth figure, that's nuts. I had to put that on the list somewhere. That's crazy. I never would have called that. Who would have thought that? That's nuts. But moving on to spot number 1, and if you haven't guessed what it is by now, you probably haven't been paying attention. I knew there wasn't any other figure that could fit this spot, and that belongs to the Super Battle Droid. We first got this in the C-3PO Super Battle Droid 2-pack at the beginning of this year, one of my first big reviews of the year. And I had so much fun taking pictures of it and doing the review and making some of my friends question my own sanity. I loved it so much that I bought all the different versions, and I bought multiples of them because they're so good. And honestly, I'll buy any other version they release of it because it's that good. It's such a good figure. It's absolutely crazy that it took Hasbro this long to get us a super battle droid in the line, but the wait was most certainly worth it. And maybe the wait was good for it because it let them get a lot of kinks out of the line, I guess. Like, the line is objectively better now than it was, you know, in terms of like build quality and things like advancements to articulation. So I'm happy that we got it, and I'm glad that it's so good because it would have sucked had it not been that good. So like I said, 2024 was a great year for the Black Series, and those are my top 10-ish figures from the year. What are yours? I really do want to know. Next year is looking to be just as great, if not better, than this year. If you haven't gotten the new Luke and Leia yet, I can't recommend them enough. Even with their issues, they're great figures. But we also have some hard hitters coming up in the line in the coming months, like the Commando Droid, Savage Opress, Shaak Ti, Luminara Unduli, and Sebulba? Prince Shizor? I mean, come on. Lucasfilm seems to be slowing up on new TV shows and movies in the schedule, and I really hope that gives Hasbro some time to go back and give us more obscure and fun figures that they missed the first time around. And I really want Hasbro to plug some of my holes in my collection, because there are holes in my collection. But that's it. Like I said, leave me a comment on what your top 10 figure is. Keep it civil and we'll have a fun discussion. I love to read and respond to those comments when I can. I also want to thank these people here for supporting me as a channel member. If you want to see your name here and get early ad-free access to my videos, please consider joining my channel membership. Also, liking, sharing, and subscribing goes a long way of helping out too, and it's free. And that's it. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for getting this far, and I'll see you later. Bye.